All right, welcome to Agent Prep with Lillie Hendy. Remember to tap that subscribe button and click the little bell so you get notified every time I post a new video, and go ahead and like this video. Remember, questions on these exams for state start at 81. The first 80 are national, the last 30 are state. Oh, Vernica, you were also here. Okay, number 90. Thank you. Awesome. You see how we help each other out? Oh, that's right, because a lot of times I like to end at the end of a page. Very good, Vernica. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. Okay, so I wrote it down. Number 90 last time was, okay, 197. Alrighty. Okay, now shift your brain to state questions, state of Texas questions. I mean, some of these would maybe apply to other states, but every state has different state laws. Okay. Number 90. Wow, man, this is a long one. When I'm in an exam and there's a long question, I skip it and I go to a short one and I come back to it because I was a slow reader. I've improved by doing little speed reading exercises. So if you're in the exam, you might want to do that also, because look, reading this versus reading 92, I'll go through more questions when they're shorter and I can come back and review the long ones. But right now we're going to review the long one. So 90, Samuel is under contract with a buyer for the sale of his house, his or her house, well, his house, Samuel. He has agreed to give the buyer a 10-day termination option. So that's the option period. And that's when it is a unilateral contract. Only one person is performing, and that is the buyer. So a 10-day option period as described in paragraph 23 of the contract, Real Estate Commission. That's TREC contract form. Samuel has been paid a $350 option fee, and the buyer has deposited $2,500 as earnest money with an escrow agent. Okay, escrow agent can be an attorney or an escrow agent within a title company. Because as I mentioned earlier, title companies and escrow departments are in one building. So we'll usually say, hey, take the deposit, the escrow money to the title company. If the buyer delivers a notice of termination to Samuel on the 10th day, Samuel is obligated to do what? They've got 10 days of termination, 10 days of option period to make a decision whether to move forward or not with the contract. That's when they do all their inspections and their due diligence and their investigation. And this is on residential. Commercial properties, they have a different situation. It takes a lot longer. A, release $2,800 to the buyer and keep the $50 non-refundable part of the option fee. B, release 1/2 of the earnest money to the buyer and retain the other half plus the option fee. C, release all of the earnest money to the buyer and retain the entire option fee. Or D, release all of the earnest money and option fee to the buyer because the buyer terminated within the contractual prescribed time frame. So when you know the term option, what the definition for option is, they're paying for an option to have an option to either decide to move on or not. So that costs money. It is not a consideration of collateral. It is money. So that means their earnest money is not at risk during that option period. So then with that I mentioned, that should narrow it down to one or two answers. So if the earnest money is not at risk, it wouldn't be B, right? Release 1/2 of the earnest money? No. And the option fee is a fee that they pay to have the right to have that period to investigate. Very good, Eric. Release all the earnest money to the buyer and retain the entire option fee. Okay? Option fee is not returned. That check is made out to the seller. The earnest money is made out to the title company or escrow department. Okay, because the escrow department can be an attorney, so then it would be made to the legal office. Option fee is made out to the owner. Once that's paid, you're done. That's gone, whether you decide to move on or not. Now, you have the opportunity to decide whether that option fee will be applied towards your closing or not. I don't see why somebody would say no. However, you have an option of deciding that $350 will be applied towards my closing cost. Okay? However, you never get that back. It belongs to the seller. So the answer is C. You get all your earnest money back, but not the option fee. So 90. Now, sometimes there are, no, never mind. Do you get it, Vernica? $91. Newlyweds Jack and Jane have just acquired a farm of several hundred acres 10 miles from the city and established it as their homestead. So definition of homestead. Sorry about that. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. How much of the farm is protected from seizure and forced sale under Texas constitutional homestead? A, 100 acres maximum. B, 200 acres maximum. C, the entire farm. D, 10 acres including the land upon the house upon which the house sits. So on a homestead law, there's a certain number of acres that are allowed when somebody buys hundreds of acres. So part of it becomes homestead and the other part is not. So one way to remember this one is you get 100 per person. So if it's a couple, which they are, Jack and Jane, then you get 200 acres maximum. But the homestead would be 200 acres. It doesn't mean you have to be a couple. And but not the entire farm. So 200 acres and the home, which sits on that 200 acres, would be protected, okay, from any seizure from credit cards or from some other seizure. I mean, credit cards can't seize the property, and property taxes can. If there was some other legal action to seize property that they went to court for, anything above 200 acres, okay, would be at risk. So 91 is, yeah, you mean B, 200 acres. 91B. All righty, number 92. Okay, very good, very good. Who or what requires a person to hold a license issued by the Texas Real Estate Commission, known as TREC, prior to performing acts of brokerage such as selling, leasing, or locating real property for sale or lease? Who requires that person to hold a license? A, Texas Real Estate Commission. B, the governor of Texas, C, the Texas legislature, or D, the Texas statute of frauds. So 92. The Texas legislature enacted the Texas Real Estate License Act, TRELA, a law that establishes the license requirement and creates the Texas Real Estate Commission to administer the law and issues licenses. So the state legislature, okay, is who enacts that, and they put Texas Real Estate Commission in place. So the law put the commission in place in order to issue licenses, and that was created. So the legislature created a license act and put the Texas Real Estate Commission in place to issue those licenses. Okay, 92C. So first it became law. Okay, by the legal department, right? So the legislature, the legal act, created a license act, or they are the laws that established the requirements for the state of Texas, and that created the commission. It's like the commissioners in a city commissioners or county commissioners. They're the group that makes the decisions, right, for the local laws or acts. And they're the ones that decide to administer certain things within that county or within that city or precinct. Because you have city commissioners, county commissioners, precinct commissioners. I don't get into politics much, but I am going to vote. 92. So 92 is C. Oh, I already put it in. Okay. Number 93. Sarah, salesperson, has a signed buyer representation agreement to represent Bernie and Bonnie, buyer. She shows them a home listed by Lisa List a Lot, who tells Sarah that the sellers are desperate and that she is sure that she can get them to accept $10,000 less than the asking price. What should Sarah do? So Sarah is the salesperson. Lisa is the list a lot. So Sarah represents the buyer. Lisa represents the seller. What should Sarah, buyer, salesperson, do with that information that Lisa, representing seller, said? A, call the sellers and tell them what Lisa said. Do we do that? Talk to the other realtor's client. B, suggest that the buyers make a lowball offer. C, keep the information to herself. D, share the information with Bernie and Bonnie. Who do we represent? Salesperson, Bernie and Bonnie. Who do we owe fiduciary responsibility to? Bernie and Bonnie. And what does that fiduciary responsibility regulate? That we share information that we learn to our client, to our principal. Okay, because we have assigned, since they are we have a representation agreement, buyer's rep. That means they're a client. They're not just a customer. So we owe them those fiduciary duties. And that is any information that we learn, whether it's from the listing agent or somewhere else, we share with the buyers so that we and they can make the right decision. So 93. See, 93. Fiduciary duty of disclosure requires that she, as a buyer's agent, share the information with Bernie and Bonnie and then let them decide how they want to proceed when making their offer. Now, we give them guidance, right? And options so that to help them make a decision, and we can show them and demonstrate. So 93D. All right, number 94. Your seller says that he doesn't want to accept any offers from buyers who are represented by a buyer's agent. As the listing agent, what should you do when a buyer's agent brings an offer on the listing on behalf of their client? A, present it to the seller. B, send it back to the buyer's agent. C, throw it away. D, file it and forget about it. Oh my goodness. And some people do that. Okay, some people do some of these things on here, and that's a no-no. Whenever we get an offer, what do we do legally? A listing agent has the duty to present all offers to the seller unless instructed otherwise by written instruction from the seller. So 94, you're going to throw it away? You're going to file it? You're going to hold it? What are you going to do? Okay, guys, answer. No answers? 94A, very good. 95. When a client tells an agent to do something illegal, what should the agent do? A, obey without question. B, sue the principal. C, terminate the agency relationship. D, ignore the order. So if somebody goes to you and tells you to do something illegal, are you going to do it? Good, Varnica. No, right? We don't want to represent anybody that's going to give us wants us to do something illegal. So we terminate that relationship right away. No ifs and buts. If they don't want to budge, you're not there to convince them to do something legal. There's going to be issues later on. So it was 95C. 96. It is unlawful for an individual licensed as a real estate person to do what? A, sell timeshares. B, act as an apartment locator. C, act as a broker in a commercial transaction. D, represent a buyer in the name of his or her sponsoring broker. So which one is it unlawful to do if you're a salesperson? Remember, it takes several years to move to another level, right? Must have experience in order to do a higher level's duties. So 96. I mean, timeshares, you're representing somebody else and getting paid for it. Apartment locator, representing somebody else and getting paid for it. Represent a buyer, we're representing somebody else on behalf of the broker and getting paid for it. Are we a broker? No. Very good, Carmen. 96C. We do not act like a broker. In fact, you won't be, most brokers won't let you do any commercial until you have your feet wet or you're not green behind the ears. Then if and when you start to do something commercial, they're going to have somebody help you, a broker, a realtor that's experienced. 97. Which of the following is not a loan fee as identified in paragraph 12 of the Texas Real Estate Commission tract promulgated contract and the third-party financing condition addendum? Remember, it's an addendum because it's part of the contract. It's not an amendment. Interest rates, you can buy that down, okay? Loan origination, whenever we're working with buyers, we want to recommend to them to go to a lender that is not going to charge 1% or 1.5%. Because that 1%, let's say they're buying a $500,000 loan, 1% origination, that's $5,000 of closing costs that they're going to have to pay to the lender. That's a lot of money. So go search for another lender that doesn't have that origination cost. And when lenders are being competitive, they're not going to charge that loan origination fee. Okay, so did I write the answer? Yes. Okay, 98. Long explanation how an independent contractor and salesperson recently left his broker at Country Realty and joined Citywide Realty. He left Country Realty before closing of a sale he made while he was with that broker. Which of the following statements is true? A, Anthony must forfeit the commission on the sale he made when he was with the old broker. Really? B, Anthony is entitled to his commission to be paid by him by Country Realty broker. That was the first broker, right? And what, all transactions belong to the broker. So where did he start the transaction? With the old broker, even though he now has another broker. C, Country Realty broker will pay the Citywide Realty broker who will split with Anthony. Where was the contract? So who owned the contract? D, the seller will pay the Citywide Realty broker who will split with Anthony. Who was the seller with? Who did the seller have a contract with? With the first broker, not the second one. You can move, but whatever you had with the prior broker stays with the prior broker. What most of them do release is any listings that you don't have a contract under. But once you have a contract with that other broker, it stays there until it closes and they get their portion. So let's say Vernica said 98B. Okay, so did you get what I was saying? Anything you perform with the prior broker and it's already in a negotiation contract that deals with money stays with the broker you were with. The new broker doesn't do anything because the contract, the agency agreement was not with the new broker, okay? 98B. Okie dokie, 99. An earnest money check has been returned to the title company by the prospective buyer's bank marked NSF, not sufficient funds. What should the listing agent do? A, inform the seller. B, redeposit the check. C, contact the buyer for an explanation. Or D, tell the title company to run it through again. So if it bounced once, you know, they're going to get charged for that, a no sufficient fund fee. So do you really want to have them run it again? No, right? You want now demand a money order or a cashier's check. And a lot of companies will require that now. So who does the realtor represent? What should the listing agent do? We can't redeposit the check because we don't have it. Contact the buyer for an explanation. Who do we represent? The seller. We don't contact the buyer unless we wrote the contract for the buyer that they are not our client. So A, inform the seller. And then we let the other realtor know, hey, your client is going to have to deposit a money order or cashier's check at this point, or wire the money, which has become even more common now during COVID. Okay, number 100. Very good, Eric. A tax deed. A Texas deed lists both the wife and the husband as owners of the property in which they have taken up residence. It is presumed, A, that the property is community property with each of them owning a half undivided interest. B, that the property is owned by both of them as tenants by the entireties with rights of survivorship. C, as dower property. D, as courtesy property. A lot of definitions, a lot of vocabulary on here. So if both wife and husband took title to a property as their resident, then it's presumed that that is what? There are 4 types of ownerships, right? In the national and in the state of Texas. So number 100, property owned by a husband and wife is always presumed to be community property in which they have a half undivided interest. Texas is a community property state. Community property requires both signatures to execute a valid deed of conveyance. That's when they are going to sell it. In other states, it's going to be tenants by the entirety, which means, okay, community property. But Texas is a community property state. All right, then we're going to deal with that the property is community property with each of them owning a half undivided interest. Even though B, okay, is also correct, but that's not how it's referred to in the state of Texas. 100 is A. Very good, Eric, Veronica. Dang, I don't want those little alerts. Okay, number 101. I used to mark them before when I used to do this live, and I wasn't doing it on Facebook Live, so I would keep track. So I've been doing this for years, okay, on and off. So salesperson A obtains a listing for a property in Sunset Terrace. In the listing, permission is given to the broker to function as an intermediary, vocabulary, and to make appointments of associates to communicate with each party. Salesperson B is working with a buyer who wants representation but does not want to sign a buyer representation agreement. So that makes them what? A customer, not a client. Salesperson B prepares an offer for the listing obtained by salesperson A, and both parties are given written permission that salesperson A is communicating with the seller and salesperson B is communicating with the buyer. Which of the following best describes what is taking place? A, this property is a properly done intermediary transaction. B, this is an illegal act under the provisions of TRELA, Texas Real Estate License Act. C, each party has his or her own agent. D, the broker is functioning as a properly appointed intermediary. So remember, salesperson B doesn't have an agency relationship because the buyer did not want to sign any buyer representation agreement. So let's look at their explanation. So B, the Texas TRELA Act requires written permission from each of the parties in order for the broker to function as an intermediary. What does B say? This is an illegal act under the provisions of Texas Real Estate License Act. And why is that? Because there is no intermediary. Broker does not have two agency agreements. Right? Because the buyer is not, there is no agency agreement between the buyer and the realtor or the buyer and the brokerage. So it's not intermediary. The broker is not mediating between the two. The buyer agent is a sub-agent, actually responsible for owing the fiduciary responsibilities for the seller. And we don't really do sub-agency here. We get the buyer to sign a buyer's rep agreement. So 101 is B. Okay? Based on the Texas Real Estate License Act. Because there is no intermediary. That was a long one. All right, number 102. So time is out. I'm gonna go until we finish this page, okay? So which of the following is not listed as included in the property to be conveyed in paragraph 2 of the Texas Real Estate Commission Form 1-4 Family Residential Contract? A, window air conditioning unit. B, a freestanding stove or range. C, a self-contained spa with cover and heater. D, gas-fueled fireplace logs and fireplace screen. So which one is not included? Okay, so we would have to go to the contract and check paragraph 2. So here it said window air unit, that was there. Freestanding stove or range. C, self-contained spa with cover and heater. Gas-fueled fireplace logs and fireplace screen. So which one wasn't on there? Very good, Vernica. 102C. Self-contained spa with cover and heater. So a self-contained spa is usually standalone, right? And it could be outside. Seller can take that. It's not attached. Seller can decide to leave it. Okay, it's personal property, but they can decide to leave it. So 102C. 103, last question for today. Under the Texas Real Estate License Act, TRELA, okay? All of the following actions are cause to suspend and revoke a license held by a broker or salesperson, except, okay, except, that means only one thing is not correct, which, right, on the multiple choice, we only have one question that'll be the right answer. However, in this case, we have to remember that it's the right answer, however, it's the wrong content. A, revealing to an owner an offer that is well below fair market value. B, acting in full dual capacity by broker and undisclosed principal in any transaction. C, failing to specify in the listing contract a definite termination date that is not subject to prior notice. D, placing a sign on real property offering it for sale, lease, or rent without the written consent of the owner of his or her authorized agent. So all of them are cause for suspension except for one. So if can the realtor offer the owner an offer that is below market value? Reveal the offer? Can a realtor or broker act as dual capacity in the state of Texas? C, failing to specify in a listing a termination date, placing a sign without written permission. So these are all illegal acts that can revoke a license, right? Huh. I lost my page here. A, unless otherwise agreed upon. Good, Eric. Parties at, shoot, that's exam number 1. How the heck did I lose that so quickly? Oops. Okay, what was the question? Question 103, right? Exam number 2. Oh, that's exam number 3. Darn it! Sorry, guys. Okay. I'm clicking too many buttons here. Okay, 103. Licensees have the duty to present every offer to the client as well as to give the client the benefit of their expertise. Failure to present offers unless otherwise specifically instructed in writing by the client could result in disciplinary action. So is that the right one? Yes. Okay, so they're all they can all get their license suspended or revoked except for A. Okay, thanks, Carmen. Here I'm scrolling like crazy. I'm glad somebody else is awake. So yes, 103A, okay, will not cause suspension because they are presenting any offer even if it's below fair market value. How in the state of Texas, we don't have dual agency. Every contract has to have a termination date. Putting a sign on somebody's property, we need written permission. And that is stated on the listing agreement. So once we have a signed listing agreement, we can put a sign on the property because it specifies it on there by checking a box if we have permission to put a sign or not. All right. So 103 was A. So that's the last question for today. Let me write it down. So we will start with number 104, exam 2, on page 199, and answers are on page 207. Don't you just love this source on how it explains the answers? I do. Tell you what, it's helped me learn it even better every year. Every time that I teach this and I review it, I'm reviewing it for myself because I end up discovering new ways of how to analyze the questions and the answers. Any questions before we call it quits? Before we say over and out? Okay, and if you haven't started interviewing yet with different brokers, start interviewing with different ones and give me an opportunity to interview with me and eXp Realty. I am evaluating another company, okay, that could offer better situation. However, I'm not totally convinced yet. I need to know what they're totally providing for beginners, okay? So, you know, I do this for free. Only thing I ask in return is that you give me the opportunity to talk to you about eXp Realty since you are going to be interviewing different brokers. Select a broker or company that is going to give you what you need, training and education, and lower expenses. I mean, some companies have lots of expenses, okay, commission rate. There are different types of companies, Eric, okay, for those since he's taken the exam. And you want to compare those. You can create a chart. Don't just go to one company, okay, unless that's what you've been thinking about and you have been researching. Research the companies, the brokers yourself online. I'm sure you're having lots of emails, lots of people sending you emails and trying to recruit you and calling you. I'm one of them. However, I give something before I ask someone to consider letting me be their sponsor. I'm not a sponsoring broker, I'm a sponsoring agent. Certain companies provide commission to the sponsoring realtor and stocks, okay? So I like to get multiple streams of income. So with the company that I was before, NEXP, I get a percentage of the company's profit for bringing someone into the company. So that is called revenue share. I also earn stocks once I bring individuals in, okay, and they start producing. And I start producing when I do my first deal, I get some stocks. So, hey, I've got income coming from multiple areas. So it's like you're going to interview with a corporation for a job. You want to look at what are all their benefits that you're going to get for you giving them your time. Now here, you're not an employee, okay, you're an independent contractor. With a corporation, you're an employee and they give you profit share, 401k, vacation days, sick leave. You want to look at all those benefits and those opportunities for growth with any brokerage that you're going with, because it's your company, it's your career. Okay? And so look at all of those, compare it to going to a corporation without being considered an employee. What are the benefits that you're going to have? That is very important, because this is your future. This is your business. Don't expect them to give you leads. You have to pay for a lead generating program. You have to pay for your own marketing. You'll get a website with most companies, especially the larger companies. Little companies, you know, you won't. They say, oh, you've got to, you know, hire somebody to do your own website, okay? But we now have Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. There's so many different medias to advertise that are free. To post that are free, okay? You're going to learn about all these things with particular types of brokers. Some of them don't believe a lot in YouTubing, in social media. So if you like to do business on social media, make sure you select one that is progressive. Are they thinking about the future? If you want a small company, okay, that you just want to do it part-time and you want to start small and simple, great. Just make sure you have someone that's going to hold your hand and provide some support and education and training. But this is a self-taught business for the most part. You have to reach out for training and education. It's not going to come to you. When you go to school, are you the proactive one, or are they recruiting you to go to school? No, you're proactive, right? So you're going to study. You're going to go and see what you want to do, what you want to learn for, what you're going to pay for. And then when you graduate, you probably have tons and tons of loans. Well, not in real estate. However, you have to do some of those things. And when you go do your career, they're not going to give you leads in a company. You got to do your job. You got to learn a lot of things on your own. Be proactive. Be resourceful. Don't expect others to give you information that you have access to on the internet today, or that you go and research at a library or wherever you research, okay? I want you all to understand that this is your business. That's why we are called independent contractors. We're responsible for our own taxes, for our own clients, of who we attract. And be positive when you interact with other realtors. Treat them with respect. Don't be mean to other realtors. They're like your business partners, okay? You have to work together when you're representing a buyer or you're representing a seller. Always respect the other side. You're going to be like a counselor, an advisor, okay? You're not a legal person, okay? However, you'll learn a lot of those things on the business when you're working with people. Some of you are going to door knock, cold calling, open houses, you know, send out flyers, send out postcards, anything and everything you can do. I've developed a YouTube channel now that I learned through COVID, and that's how I'm starting to generate some of my leads without paying for ads, but it is a lot of work, okay? And so last week I asked for all of you to please visit my YouTube channel and subscribe. I didn't see anybody go in there and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay? I'm giving, I'm asking. You're getting, give. Okay? So if you want to get help from somebody else, learn to give yourself. Okay? I'm not asking for a lot. It's not costing you anything to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Okay, this is my YouTube channel, living in San Antonio, Texas. I know that many people weren't on Wednesday's class, okay? And some of you may have been and subscribed, but if you don't have a publicized channel, I won't know that you subscribe. So I'm asking you to please give back and support me in the growth of my YouTube channel, because this is where, okay, I am now doing social media to attract buyers. This form of marketing is a lot of work, but it is the future. It is today. Okay? And so this is a little introduction that I just posted this week, a 2-minute one, but on YouTube,
this channel because you're
it
thinking
takes
of moving to the San Antonio metro area.
doing long
well,
videos.
you come to the right place. This channel is all
Okay?
about.
So it's almost like being a reporter now. All right. So with that said, any questions before we leave? Cynthia, thank you so much. You say you subscribed. I greatly appreciate it. And you love my classes. I appreciate that very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I tell you what, anybody that allows me to be their sponsors, I'm going to help you. I'm going to mentor you without charging you. And why? Because I'm going to be rewarded by the company that I belong with, okay, through part of the company's profits and also stocks. So any questions, let me know. Eric, keep calm, relax, take a deep breath, and focus on what you've learned. Mentally, close your eyes before you go into the exam. Okay, good luck. Let me know how it goes. Send me a message. And then I'll ask you to post subscribing now. Awesome, Eric, awesome. I greatly appreciate all your guys' support. Okay, it's a lot of work to do this. Real estate is a lot of work. If you're going to be a mechanic, if you're going to be a nail tech, if you're going to open a grocery store, an accounting business, a doctor, it's a lot of work. It's your business. Okay? Thank you very much for that in talk, and love you guys for attending. Those of you that are learning, any time invested that you put in, it's going to help you to your exams. So I look forward to meeting you someday in person, if not, or doing business with you, or you choosing me as your immediate sponsor, not your broker sponsor, but immediate sponsor. You see, here's me vlogging. I bought all the equipment, a GoPro Hero 8, and my, not my speaker, but my audio, okay? And so anyway, I bought a bunch of equipment in order to be doing and creating all this. I created all this by other realtors that are giving back to teach others, and it helps them grow. So when you receive, give to other people. You will receive more. Okay? You close the loop, give and receive. If you're a Christian, you read the Bible, it says give and receive, give and receive, give and receive. Continue that loop and close it. Okay, with that said, have an awesome Saturday. Good luck, Eric. And I look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday and hearing how you're doing. Post on the group any questions that you may have and help each other out, and also on the messenger group if I've already added you on there. If I haven't, let me know so that I may add you to the messenger group. If any of your friends want to join the group, remind them that when they go to request to join, they must answer all the questions. Name, email and phone number. Some people get upset because they said, well, I answered all the questions. Well, you didn't include the phone number. Read the question carefully. That's what we study here on this course. Read everything carefully. Okay, so answer all the questions and I will approve them. If they don't, I will not approve them. If it's somebody that you recommend, it can show on there recommended by you. They still need to answer the questions, okay? I have the information through Trek. However, I don't want to go and search my thousands of names on the spreadsheet, okay? So you're not giving anything I don't have. All right, have an awesome Saturday. It's a cool weather. Fall is here. See you Wednesday, guys. Until next time. Okay, let me go here to, I tell you what, man, I got this brand new Surface Pro and I have to completely set it up. Ta-da-la! All right, welcome to Agent Prep with Lillie Hendy. Remember to tap that subscribe button and click the little bell so you get notified every time I post a new video, and go ahead and like this video.